Okay, Sentinel Enclave. We've got that on our map now. Just exit out into the city. It's over here, to the east. Just this little thing sticking out into the sea.
Some kind of sandstone, very malleable, but also very vulnerable to the elements. These cliffs probably have huge, naturally formed caves and tunnels.
Into the Enclave.
The dragon's mouth is pointing straight down at the middle of the floor. It's a circular hollow about 20 centimeters across and about 5 centimeters deep. It's a small recess about the size of my fist with a thin duct extending from the recess to the circular hollow in the middle of the floor. There are 3 others just like it, arranged with equal distance to each other in a circle and all connected via a duct to the center of the floor.
Interesting. But that's a puzzle that we don't need to do yet. That we can't do yet. So here we are in the Enclave. Lots of books. Minstrom Yerin is down here.
It's one of the Sentinel Minstrom.
Oh, goodness me, I didn't hear you come in. By the way, you haven't seen Volume 6 of the Complete Annotated History of the Northlands, have you? I could have sworn it was here yesterday.
Sorry, no.
I guess someone else must have taken it. I try to tell them to write down what they borrow on the list, but they never listen. Only last week I spent 3 hours searching the entire Enclave for the second scripture of the balance, the scripture of song, before I realized that Vestrum Tobias was studying it back in the city. Now, such incidents could be avoided if only, and this applies to you too, young lady, people would sign out the books they borrow when they borrow them and sign them back in when they're done. Such a simple procedure. It shouldn't take more than a few seconds to jot down your name and the name of the book you borrow. It makes my job so much easier. Now, which book did you want me to find for you?
Are you Minstrom Yerin?
Yes, of course. What a silly question.
How would I know? I don't know you.
I am Minstrom Yerin, keeper of the Great Library of Marcuria. In fact, this is the greatest library of all the Northlands. Perhaps of the entire world, although they say the Dark People have a library as big, if not bigger, than this one. But of course, we're not allowed anywhere near there. Have you been there?
I don't think...
What a silly question. Of course you haven't. You're not of the Dark People, are you? You don't look like any Dark People I've ever seen, so I can't see how you could possibly... Now, where did Volume 6 disappear to?
Tobias said I should talk with you.
Tobias? Vestrum Tobias? I haven't seen him for... Well, he was in last week, but before that it must have been days at least. How is he? Still eating enough for 2 mules? I must tell you of this funny story I heard the other day, of how Vestrum Tobias eats enough for a table full of minstrom, or was it 1 Elguan? Although the Elguan don't as a rule eat very much at all. Did you know that the Elguan can smell water more than half a day's journey away? Amazing, amazing creatures, perfectly suited for life in the desert. The balance provides, that's for certain. The balance provides.
Vestrum Tobias recommended that I look at some books.
Books is what we do best here at the Enclave, that is for certain. Which book would you like to see?
I'm looking for a story called The Silver Spear of Gorimon.
Yes, a fanciful tale if I ever saw one, but a charming one. Did you know that I'm often paid visit by adventurers wishing to read everything available on the sphere so that they too can set out on their foolish quests?
Yeah, don't you just hate those adventurers?
Well, they pay for my bread, milk, and butter with their contributions to the coffers, so I shouldn't be too critical of them. But they care not about the books. They care only about what the books can give them.
I care. About the books, really.
I can tell. So, the Silver Spear of Gorimon, then?
So he's gone off to retrieve that book for us. We're going to have to do this with several books to get all the information that we need. So it's story time.
I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
The Silver Spear of Gorimon. In the glory days of Bakshiva, before the drought, when Gorimon was the greatest city in the known world, the Parak of Bakshiva decided to forge the most powerful weapon in the world to challenge the mighty White Dragon. The Parak had grown greedy and bored, his treasure hold filled with the riches of the world, and he desired nothing except the one thing he could never have, the unborn daughter of the White Dragon, the fairest, purest, most beautiful creature in the universe. He had asked the White Dragon for her daughter's hand in marriage, but she had refused, scolding him for his insolence and warning him to keep his distance from immortals. And so the Parak sought the advice of a mighty sorcerer, the dark and cruel Eos, to learn how to kill one of the Dryad kin. The sorcerer told the Parak of the white silver of Mount Tyranny, the strongest substance in Arcadia, and how it could be forged by magic to kill even one of the kin. The Parak ordered his army to go north, across the ocean, and to bring back enough white silver to shape a weapon. When his men returned with the rare metal, the Parak ordered the finest blacksmith in Bakshiva to his castle, where Eos the sorcerer cast a spell to create an unholy forge. 10 days and 10 nights it took before the exhausted blacksmith could present a tall spear to his emperor. But before the spear could be used to kill one of the kin, it had to be bathed in blood, beheading the poor blacksmith and the soldiers who had retrieved the white silver from Mount Tyranny. The Parak's private bath was filled with their blood. As he dropped the silver spear into the red bath, watched over by Eos, a terrible scream erupted, and steam rose up in a red, foul-smelling cloud. When the steam lifted, the blood was all gone, and the spear was glowing in a deep red colour. With the terrible weapon now ready to be wielded, the Parak issued a challenge to the White Dragon, to either surrender her daughter to him for marriage, or to suffer a painful death at his hand. Enraged, the White Dragon refused him yet again, and flew to meet the Parak, his sorcerer, and his 1,000-strong army on the green fields outside Gorimon. Of the magical silver spear she knew nothing, and the Parak kept it wrapped in cloth by his side. "Bring your forces around, Parak," warned the White Dragon. "If you do not, I will lay waste to them all." "I wish my men no harm," lied the Parak, "for this is between the two of us." He then rode forward, alone, and dismounted his horse, but stayed within reach of the spear. The White Dragon landed before him, and she said, "You are brave to face me like this when you know you cannot harm me." Then the Parak raised a hand as if to greet her, but it was instead a sign to his sorcerer, the terrible Eos, who cast a mighty spell to hold the White Dragon while the Parak drew his silver spear. The White Dragon fought bravely, and she was close to escaping the sorcerer's magic, but the Parak was quick, and he thrust the magic spear into her chest. She screamed in pain and anger, and the sorcerer's spell could no longer hold her. Rising on her beautiful wings, blood pouring down on the land below, she cursed Bakshiva, her Parak and her people for all time. Wherever the White Dragon's blood fell, the land turned arid and grass became sand. The parrot sent his army to follow the white dragon and to bring back her egg, but the drought grew, and within days, the once proud empire of Bathsheba turned into a desert. Then followed a fierce storm that tore across the land for 100 days and nights, and when the dust settled, there was nothing left of Bathsheba but 2 coastal cities and a few scattered oases. It is said that in the buried ruins of a lost capital, wrapped in the arms of the parrot who dared test the immortal, lies the silver spear of Gorimon.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you. Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
I'm looking for some information, but I'm not sure which book to ask for.
No matter. I know a great deal about most of the books in here. What topic intrigues you?
I need to find out which 4 magical people of Arcadia were given a piece of the stone disc that serves as the key to the Guardian's realm.
The stone disc of the balance, yes? Yes. There could possibly be something on that in... let me check. Just one moment. I did find something of interest. I'll leave it here for you to read.
Chapter 16 in the 8th scripture, the Scripture of Breaking, regarding the Disc of the Balance and the events that came about when the disc was broken. The scriptures tell us that the disc was kept at the Enclave for many thousands of years, safely guarded from any threat by the respect held by every man and woman for the authority of the fathers. But with dissent came disobedience, and disobedience brought immorality, and immorality begat theft. Tyrant soldiers, aided by sentinel traitors, attempted to make away with the disc, but were thwarted by the Wight of the Kin herself, intervening, although forbidden to do so, on behalf of the fathers. The disc was brought safely back to the Enclave, but the threat would linger in the minds of the Minstrum and the Vestrum. So it became that the disc was melted in the forge of the dragon's mouth, shaped into the elements of 4 magical people, and given to these respective people for safekeeping, until such a time when it was decreed that the disc should once more be whole. 1 stone to the gentle souls that sing in the dark and shape the earth between their toes. 1 stone to the watchers of the woods, the ones who are outside. 1 stone to the 2 that make one, of air and of sea. And 1 stone to the keepers of the dark flame, the eternally dark, the mariners. When the time comes for the disc to be whole again, 1 person will make a journey to the 4 who hold the pieces, and the pieces will be given willingly, because there will be no doubt to the righteousness of this person.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
1 person that has to find all the pieces. That sounds like us, doesn't it?
Oh, goodness, it's you again. Oh, you gave me such a fright.
Could I see some more books?
Oh, certainly. What a silly question.
I'm looking for some information, but
No matter.
I'd like to learn more about dragons, about the Dragonkin.
Oh, yes, yes. We have some wonderful books on that topic. Stay here.
Secrets of the Dryad Kin by Minstrom Eliak. Forward. The Dryad Kin are known by many names throughout the Twin Worlds. In Alltongue they are often referred to as Drakkin, in some variations of Low Tongue, Drekin. In the Southlands, the word Dragich refers specifically to the winged lizard shape traditionally associated with the kin. In Earhad, the eternal spirits of the kin are called simply Drak, regardless of their current shape. In Stark, most cultures refer to the kin as dragon. Drag, Drak, Dragon. Though this usually refers only to the winged lizard-like shape, and not to the spirit inhabiting this shape. In fact, while in Arcady, the kin are respected and revered as eternal spirits with great significance in the balance and the all. In Stark, the kin are mostly creatures of mythology and fairy tales. However, in some Stark legends and scriptures, notably the Christian Bible, the word dragon is associated with the forces of evil, and thus the religious connotations do seem to have carried over in a somewhat distorted form. Who or what are the Dryad Kin? Why not ask, who is the creator, or what is the all? Questions thus asked will remain, in perpetuity, unanswered, for they are in truth unanswerable. To condense all knowledge of the creator into one answer is futile, as is any attempt to define the all without describing every single element that makes up the all. So also with the Dryad Kin, we cannot answer who is the kin or what is the kin, but we can provide some answers to the simpler questions, the questions that deal with what we see and hear and feel, and what we have been told by the kin themselves. Answers that, together, may give us, if only the faintest hint of the whole truth, then at least some indication of who or what the Dryad Kin are. Born of the emptiness between the stars, reads the 11th scripture of the balance, the scripture of time. Shaped in unison with the all, part of the all, yet outside the all. Drechin, note the ancient High Tongue variation of Dryad Kin. Why so many variations and interpretations of the Dryad Kin from culture to culture? The kin have always been shrouded in mystery, and from mystery rises legend and myth. The kin seem content to be seen as nothing but tall tales and figments of a bard's fertile imagination.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.
God, you really don't realise how convoluted and tongue-twistery these sentences are until you start reading them out loud.
Could I see
Oh, sir.
a book on the history of Marcuria would be interesting.
Ah, an extensive subject to be sure. I will do my best.
Travels in the Northlands by Germain the Discoverer. The first part. In my many years as a travelling poet and bard, I have journeyed far and wide across the fair realm of Arcady, and I have seen sights most people have not dreamed. I have stood on the magnificent and terrible southern capes in the midst of winter, when the storms are at their fiercest, while waves as tall as the towers of Altaban washed over my frozen body. I have witnessed the monstrous beasts that lurk in those dark and deadly waters of the south, swallow brave galleons whole, creatures the size of mountains that with a flick of a tail can touch the depths of the sea and the stars themselves. I have crossed the great ocean from north to south, and from east to west, and in the course been stranded on desert islands, with no sustenance but what I could gather from the sparse vegetation, for months at a time. I have ridden the giant Elguan across Changagriel, the wasteland, from Altaban to Monterba, and further south, where the Taruk, the oasis, are few and far between, and I have seen the shifting dunes above the ruins of Gorimon, precious jewel of the Baksheevan Empire, concealed for centuries by the coarse and treacherous sand, and I have journeyed far west, carried on goodwill and destiny by shadow ships, to the strange and unknown cliffs of a world unseen by most, a world of an unfamiliar tongue and customs, a world of great wonder and mysticism. I have seen all this and more, but the fairest sights still I have seen in the lands of the north, from Ireed to the border mountains, from Tyrone to the Bay of Fire. No sight can ever compare to dawn at Mount Tyranny, looking out to the plains of Nedra where wild stallions run free in the thousands, and to look on the city of Coruscant, the Pearl of Fire, where the boiling sun sets in the ocean beyond, the slow waves reflecting dark yellow and red as they lap slowly upon the sandy shores, is an experience truly treasured and ne'er forgotten. These lands are blessed by the Creator, shaped by men yet wild and free and fertile, home to the greatest cities, the most precious sights, and the most cultured and civilized people in Arcady. Of all the fires I have rested my weary legs by, of all the taverns where I have learned the legends of tale spinners, and memorized the songs of bards, of all the lands where I have wandered from city to village, it is to the Northlands that I return time and time again to learn ever more. Join me now, for I will invoke you in the very emotions I first experienced when visiting the sights and treasures of the northern lands. Join me, and I will surely bring you there, to the exotic midst of this blessed land, and you will pine for its rugged coast, and green woods, and its hardy people, and like me, you will ne'er rest until you can return to yonder shores. Marcuria. O Marcuria, thou unkempt diamond, of capitals thou art by truth the fairest. Thy counsel many seek for knowledge, kept within is centuries sought and gathered, by men wiser than the ages, brought hither by word of mouth. Marcuria, changed thou not the course of war between thine people? Diplomat, wise man, magician, all this and more, thou hast without equal, the mark of merit and virtue. Written by Jermaine Uthrin, the poet. The august capital of Ireed, the unified country, Marcuria lies on the hardy southern coast of the Northlands, halfway between Tyrone and Coruscant. It is a port of call for merchants, traders, adventurers and pilgrims from all four continents, a place of commerce and diplomacy for millions of humans and other species. Ireed is a strong and proud land perched between the plains of Nedra to the north and the land of Tyrone to the west, the Great Sea to the south, and the forests of the Northlands to the east, and inhabited by humans, Dolmari, Tyrone, Mole People, and Venair. Ireed was formed after Marcuria emerged as a major centre for diplomacy and trade, and became the banner under which the surrounding lands united as one. Ireed is a democracy, currently led by Chief Counsel of the Ireed Flag, Lord Igvan Delan. The High Council, composed of the ministers who govern by representation, resides in the Marcurian Hall of Assembly, flanked by the palace and the barracks. The Ireedis are traditionalists, and their form of government has barely changed over the last few millennia. In High Tongue, Ireed means unification or assembly. Marcuria is one of the largest cities in Arcadia, the capital of Ireed, and a centre for trade, diplomacy, and cultural diversity. Populated by a large variety of races, from human to Venar, Marcuria has grown from its origins as the birthplace of humanity to a city of all Arcadians, and the hub of the civilized world. Founded 20,000 years ago at the shore of the then unconquerable ocean, it is the first known permanent settlement of the emerging human race. Initially left to its own devices by more developed races, Marcuria grew large and fat and wealthy. With newfound confidence, it passed through a period of expansion which gained it a reputation as a merciless aggressor, which soon brought violent attention from the Tyrone in the west and the Dolmari in the north. After years of war, Marcuria was decimated, and subsequently rebuilt with sufficient reinforcements to weather attacks from both sea and land. Peaceful times followed, whereupon Marcuria settled into the role it has in today's Arcadia. Although surrounding areas fall under its jurisdiction, There is sufficient self-governing and few central taxes to appease all but the most disgruntled. The huge areas of farmland around the city benefit from the well-kept roads, markets, and the busy export to other lands. Nearby villages benefit from the military might of Marcuria, protecting them against roving barbarians and tyrant armies. And Marcuria also provides the people of the Northlands with one of the best and busiest ports in Arcadia, allowing travel to distant destinations around the world.
Are you done? Let me take that back for you.